aim is all to do with helping the industry diversify its workforce. We came together as a group of as I say, 10 years ago, people who worked in the industry, Africans and Caribbeans who were concerned and wanted to help improve things. And that's what we do essentially. We work with young people as well as current industry professionals. To that aim, we're actually undergoing, we had to unfortunately pause because of COVID, but we had a sports media masterclass in conjunction with the Mayor's Office, which was working with 40 young people to try and bring in a new raft of young, talented, hungry, diverse candidates who can come into the sports industry and really make a splash.
As the new head chair for BCOMS, what does this role entail, and what does having this role mean for you?
Well, I've been in BCOMS for a long time. I was one of the founder members. It was started by, an idea that Leon Mann had 10 plus years ago. And I've been involved in BCOMS at various levels since then. So it is a great honour to be the chair, the first chair that we've had in our history. So for me, it's really about trying to help drive a new era for us. In terms of the work that we're doing, particularly connecting with people like the Mayor's Office, for example, and connecting and having even stronger links with broadcasters and publishers. I feel that we've done lots of great work, but I hope that one of the things that I will bring is more structure to the organisation as we move forward and as we grow, and also be another voice both within our organisation, but also within our community and within our industry, advocating for positive change in terms of diversifying the sports media industry.
Is there anything you can pinpoint as to why what we do at BCOMS is so important and is really needed in the world of sports media? I
think, I began working in sports media out of uni. I began when I was 22. That was back in 2001. And that was my first job in the media. And when I joined the BBC, that was my first job. Diversity was one of the main focuses in terms of trying to improve the diversity of production teams. And I think now in 2020, things have improved, but that's still an issue. And I think that one of the things is that the major industry players, I think, find it quite hard to connect with our communities. And our communities find it quite hard to connect with the major broadcasters and publishers. And I think that we are a conduit. I think that we are a bridge between getting the best and the brightest young people who are interested and want to grow and develop their careers in sports media and connecting them in with the people and the institutions that they can grow and develop in. And I think that's actually the key point to what we do. We find talent, we nurture talent, we develop talent, we mentor talent. And I think that that's really the key thing that BCOMS brings to the industry.
Now, when you was coming up working for the BBC, like at the time when you was coming up, was there much diversity in the rooms that you were in?
To be honest, I worked for the BBC, as I say, I joined the BBC from 2001, straight out of university, and I worked there for 11 years. And I worked across different areas. I worked in news, I worked in sport, I worked in documentaries, I worked in radio, television, online. And throughout my 11 years at the BBC, I was usually the only black guy in the room. And that was an experience that a lot of other brown people had, and I think probably still have working for the BBC. Diversity was something that was, it was an ambition, but it was an ambition that didn't always seem to follow through onto the shop floor. And so it was an experience that was actually difficult at many times, that was, for me, quite a new experience. I grew up in Southeast London. I'm from a Caribbean family. In terms of my kind of experience of life, I'd always had quite a, black experience around me, even if, I was often, yes, in the street, I'm not a majority, but growing up where I grew up and where a lot of us grow up, we're a prominent minority, if that makes sense. So to go into a space where I was the only black guy in the room, particularly being young and being inexperienced and being quite new in the industry was actually very, very difficult. And I know lots of people came through similar to me and didn't build careers because they didn't feel comfortable, they didn't fit in, they didn't know how to make their way. And so for me, I think that BCOMS as an organization, both when we started and now, for me, my real aim is that I don't want another young black guy or another young black girl to come into our industry and be isolated and feel alone and feel like they are, you know, a very marginalized minority. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel that they can contribute their full self, their ideas, their dreams, and realize their ambitions. And so for me, that's the real key thing about BCOMS, and that's always driven my involvement.
How much more of an impact, even though BCOMS has done so much already, how much more of an impact can BCOMS have on the industry?
I mean, I to be honest, I see no limit to what we're doing. You know, we're an organisation, we're unfunded, which is probably our biggest hurdle at the moment. But in terms of what we're doing in our communities, you know, we're the people that've got a really strong link, and we're trusted. You know, we're trusted by our communities, and we're trusted by new, young, talented people like yourself in our communities, you know. And I think that's really, really key. And I think we're also trusted by the industry. We have very strong links with, you know, senior people within sports media. And I think the fact that we have that trust from the community on one side and that trust from the industry on the other really means that we are in a fantastic position to be that link and to be that conduit and to be that pathway, particularly for new talent coming into our industry and trying to find a way.
And finally, can the sports media and wider industry engage further with BCOMS?
I mean, we've been really, really lucky that we have very strong connections with lots of broadcasters and some publishers in the sport media industry. At the same time, I believe that the industry can do more to support us. You know, we're unfunded. Everything we do, all our time that the board spends is on a voluntary basis. We have had support and a connection with the Mayor of London for the masterclasses, but there's so much more that we can do in terms of working with the industry, working with young people, working with new talent. You know, I think the industry appreciates the work that we do, and that's the reason why we have such strong connections. They believe track records, they've seen impact. We know that the industry believes strongly in the value of having diverse workforces. And we know it's been proven that diverse workforces are more creative workforces. So really for me, I think in this new stage now of BCOMS, as we enter our second decade actually as BCOMS, the key really is about the industry coming out and supporting us properly. You know, our appeal really is about how can the industry support us to grow and develop as an organization so that we can help them to do more in terms of diversifying industry. You know, we know that we can do it. We've proven that already. And we just hope that the industry and media houses and publishers and broadcasters are ready and willing to really step up and really give us the real core support that we need as we go forward. I think that's really our strong standpoint. And I think that we can continue to keep building, growing and doing that and becoming even more effective in the future.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. So once again, Drew, thank you for the time. Congratulations on the appointment and good luck to you in your new position.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.